जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजकाचार्य स्तोत्र सत अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय। इस्कॉन फाउंडराचार्य बीबीटी फाउंडराचार्य शील प्रभुपाद की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजकाचार्य स्तोत्र सत श्री श्रीमद भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर गोस्वामी महाराज प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नाम आचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। ग्रंथ राज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंद हरि बोल। ऑल ग्लोरीज टू द assembled devotees हरे कृष्ण। ऑल ग्लोरीज टू द assembled devotees हरे कृष्ण। ऑल ग्लोरीज टू द assembled devotees हरे कृष्ण। ऑल ग्लोरीज टू श्री श्री गुरु एंड गौरंगा। हरे कृष्णा। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 2, Remembrance of Lord Krishna. Text 6. Yeah. Sanakair Bhagaval Lokan Nrilokam Punaragata Vimruja Netre Viduram Frita Utsmayan Sanakair Bhagavalokan Nrilokam Punaragata Vimruja Netre Viduram Prityadva Odhva Utsmayan Sanakair Bhagavalokan Nrilokam Punaragata Vimruja Netre Viduram Prityahodva Utsmayan. Please chant. Sanakair Bhagavalokan Nrilokam Punaragata Vimruja Netre Viduram Prityahodva Utsmayan. Sanakair Bhagavalokan Nrilokam Punaragata Prityahodva Utsmayan. Sanakair Bhagavalokan Nrilokam Punaragata Sanakair Bhagavalokan Netre Viduram Mataji, please. Sanakair Bhagavan Lokan Sanakair Bhagavalokan Mirdanagata. Synonyms: Sanakai, gradually; Bhagavat, the Lord; Lokat, from the abode; Nrilokam, the planet of the human beings; Punaha Agata, coming again; Vimrija, wiping; Netre, eyes; Viduram, unto Vidura; Pritya, in affection; Aha, said; Uddhava, Uddhava; Utsmayan, by all those remembrances. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charnarvind Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki. Translation. The great devotee Uddhava soon came back from the abode of the Lord to the human plane. And wiping his eyes, he awakened his reminiscence of the past and spoke to Vidura in a pleasing mood. Purport. When Uddhava was fully absorbed in the transcendental ecstasy of love of God, he actually forgot all about the external world. The pure devotee lives constantly in the abode of the Supreme Lord, even in the present body, which apparently belongs to this world. The pure devotee is not exactly on the bodily plane, since he is absorbed in the transcendental thought of the Supreme. When Uddhava wanted to speak to Vidura, he came down from the abode of the Lord, Dwarka, to the material plane of human beings. Even though a pure devotee is present on this mortal planet, he is here in relation to the Lord for engagement in transcendental loving service and not for any material cause. A living entity can live either on the material plane or in the transcendental abode of the Lord in accordance with his existential condition. The conditional changes of the living entity are explained in the Chaitanya Charitamrita in the instruction given to Srila Rupa Goswami by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya. The living entities all over the universe are enjoying the effects of the respective fruitive results of their own work, life after life. Out of all of them, some may be influenced by the association of pure devotees and thus get the chance to execute devotional service by attainment of taste. This taste is the seed of devotional service, and one who is fortunate enough to have received such a seed is advised to sow it in the core of his heart. As one cultivates a seed by pouring water to fructify it, the seed of devotional service sown in the heart of the devotee may be cultured by pouring water in the form of hearing and chanting of the holy name and pastimes of the Lord. The creeper of devotional service, so nourished, gradually grows, and the devotee, acting as a gardener, goes on pouring the water of constant hearing and chanting. The creeper of devotional service gradually grows so high that it passes through the entire material universe and enters into the spiritual sky, growing still higher and higher until it reaches the planet Goloka Vrindavan. The devotee gardener is in touch with the abode of the Lord even from the material plane by dint of performing devotional service to the Lord simply by hearing and chanting. As a creeper takes shelter of another, stronger tree, similarly the creeper of devotional service, nourished by the devotee, takes shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord and thus becomes fixed. When the creeper is fixed, then the fruit of the creeper comes into existence, and the gardener who nourished it is able to enjoy this fruit of love, and his life becomes successful. That Uddhava attained this stage is evident from his dealings. He could simultaneously reach the supreme planet and still appear in this world. Om Jnanati Mirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manuvishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. So thank you again for the opportunity, and I seek blessings of all the superior Vaishnavas here. This chapter is, I was very excited to see this chapter, especially just in the first couple of verses, hearing how just by hearing the question Vidura asked Uddhava, Uddhava totally lost experience of external world, and he totally went into a trance, remembering all the services he has rendered, all the association he had with Krishna while Krishna was present on this planet, and he was totally oblivious of the outside world, being absorbed in such a state. So I was thinking he had to come back to external consciousness to respond to Vidura. And I was remembering of this, it's there in the, I think it's there in Chant and Be Happy book also. In the early days when Srila Prabhupada started doing programs here in America, then they came up with a sign which says the Swami is so high that he has to chant the mantra to come back to the external consciousness. It was something on these lines. So at the same time, I was thinking condition of people in the world, and even like my own self. Sometimes we are sitting in the Bhagavatam class, but we are not necessarily there. We really have to wake ourselves to come back to the class. But here is Uddhava, who is so absorbed internally in relationship to Krishna. But the important point Srila Prabhupada mentions is how he has such kind of consciousness. It's by rendering devotional service, by hearing about the pastimes of the Lord, by chanting his names, his pastimes. And that's how Uddhava was absorbed. And what are they doing? They both are talking about Krishna. So that's how devotees they converse with each other. Machita madgat prana bodhyanta parasparam kathantas chamam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. So they are having this wonderful dialogue, wonderful conversation, and they are going to all these different states. They are going like very deep internal state, and then they are at the same time they are able to relate with the outside world. So we can think about the different types of devotees. There is the Kanishta Adhikaris, there is the Madhyama Adhikaris, and there is Uttama Adhikaris. So Uddhava is a very advanced conscious devotee, and same Vidura. So it comes to the Adhikar. What is our Adhikar? And one has to act according to their Adhikar. You cannot be like how Nekatma Prabhu was explaining yesterday. You cannot artificially do it. If it's not your Adhikar, you may try to do it, but it just doesn't work that way. It wouldn't look nice. Anyone who knows a little bit about devotional service, they can see it. This guy is just faking it, you know. So we have to know our Adhikar and act according to that. But the beauty is this, that by following such advanced conscious devotees, we can get that Adhikar. Because these devotees, they wanna pass that Adhikar to those who are qualified to receive it. And not only that, who are willing to receive it. So this verse, beautiful verse, Srila Prabhupada is referring to in the purport, how the living entities, they are wandering. Can anyone remember where is this verse from, or anyone knows? Thank you. It's a very famous verse, and there it's mentioned, actually this is Lord Chaitanya speaking to Rupa Goswami. So speaking of conversation, here we see like very intimate conversation of Lord Chaitanya with Rupa Goswami, one of his closest associates in his pastimes. And who is Rupa Goswami? We can see Lord Chaitanya, what's this conversation about? Lord Chaitanya is personally empowering Rupa Goswami. He's giving all these deeper insights of bhakti, of devotional service that he wants Rupa Goswami to elaborate on. So people like us, people out in the world, they can get these deeper secrets. They can understand these deeper mysteries. How are these devotees, they are able to be in the world, but of the world? How are they able to do it? So that's described in the book Nectar of Devotion, which Srila Prabhupada, very putting a lot of effort, he translated it. It's a summary of the actual text, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which Srila Rupa Goswami put together, getting all these deeper insights from Lord Chaitanya. So we can see Lord Chaitanya himself, he's giving it away. Actually, that's one of the main reasons he came, to distribute this love of God, how to love God. The people wants to love others, or everyone has this tendency to love and be loved. But then, who is the supreme lover? That's Krishna. And Krishna himself, as Lord Chaitanya, comes to teach how to exchange this supreme love. And that's what he's telling Rupa Goswami, how it works, how to do it. And we can see Uddhava, he's in that kind of consciousness. He was with Krishna since his childhood. From his wake-up time to his bedtime, he would be hanging out with Krishna. And when he goes to sleep, you know, same like every day is same routine. And like someone was mentioning other day, Uddhava, even the clothes he wore, they were given by Krishna himself. Um, and if we look up the description, how Uddhava looks, it's given in the Srimad Bhagavatam. He actually looks very similar to Krishna, his bodily features, body color, everything. When he actually went to Vrindavan, the residents of Vrindavan, for a moment, they thought like it's Krishna, but as you get closer, they recognize, oh, that's not Krishna. So the point is about how one can get to this kind of consciousness is by rendering devotional service. And that's what Lord Chaitanya himself was showing by his example. One of a very wonderful pastime that Lord Chaitanya had, which is very relevant to this, is when Lord Chaitanya went to Varanasi and he met all these sannyasis there, Prakashananda Saraswati and all his followers. Yeah, we can see the picture here on the top, the painting. So Lord Chaitanya, they were asking him, you're a sannyasi, you're not studying Vedanta with us, and you're chanting with all these kind of people out there. What is this? And so it's a very wonderful pastime and to meditate on, because this chapter is the 7th chapter in Adi Leela, and it actually like totally gives like a clear-cut understanding on impersonalism and personalism, on topmost level of bhakti, how to understand it, why we are chanting. One should definitely, if you haven't had a chance, this is a great chapter to study again and again and meditate on it, because in this chapter, Lord Chaitanya, he actually convinces all these great scholars why one should be chanting the holy names of Krishna. Now, why I'm saying this is because in this chapter we can see how Lord Chaitanya, he goes to very deep internal consciousness, chanting the names. And he actually tells these sannyasis, I'll read the translation to this verse. He says, I'm not like doing it on my own, it's just naturally happening. I don't have to do it. So that's a very advanced stage of chanting, but we can take inspiration by hearing these kind of things. So he's telling this is text 77, there is like a bunch of verses here. This is Lord Chaitanya saying, since I received this order from my spiritual master, always chant the holy name. But I thought that by chanting the holy name, I had been bewildered. While chanting the holy name of the Lord in pure ecstasy, I lose myself. And thus I laugh, cry, dance, and sing just like a madman. Collecting my patience, therefore I began to consider that chanting the holy name of Krishna had covered all my spiritual knowledge. So you see, even if you notice how Lord Chaitanya is speaking to these people, because that's what they think. By chanting, it's not a very advanced process. So he's speaking on their level. And now you will see how he's bringing them to the higher understanding of the chanting. I saw that I had become mad by chanting the holy name, and I immediately submitted this at the lotus feet of my spiritual master. My dear Lord, what kind of mantra have you given me? I have become mad simply by chanting this Maha Mantra. Chanting the holy name in ecstasy causes me to dance, laugh, and cry. When my spiritual master heard all this, he smiled and then began to speak. So this is a very, And so I'll just read this. It is the nature of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra that anyone who chants it immediately develops his loving ecstasy for Krishna. Now, how many of you would like to experience this? So, you can read the purport if you want to experience this. There's more here. And then he says this. So his spiritual master congratulates him, and then he tells him what happens. When one actually develops love of Godhead, he naturally sometimes cries, sometimes laughs, sometimes chants, and sometimes runs here and there, just like a madman. And then the symptoms are given, different symptoms of ecstasy, which some of the devotees explained in previous few classes. But now he's gonna talk about what one should do, which is coming to devotional service. It is very good, my dear child, that you have attained the supreme goal of life by developing love of Godhead. Thus, you have pleased me very much, and I'm very much obliged to you. My dear child, continue dancing, chanting, and performing Sankirtan in association with devotees. Furthermore, go out and preach the value of chanting Krishna Nam, for by this process you will be able to deliver all the fallen souls. Now, we know, hearing from Srila Prabhupada, our founder Acharya, our Shiksha Guru, and for many of the devotees, he's also the Diksha Guru. And what was his instruction? He's just repeating the same instructions. Of course, he also highly recommended promoting these books that he has putting so much effort, so much time and energy he has translated, and many of his disciples who putting a lot of effort, they were able to print out these books. We know the famous pastime of Chaitanya Charitamrita, how it was printed in a couple of months. Yeah. But this is the verse I wanted to share. So his spiritual master taught him this verse to Lord Chaitanya. This is text 94. I'm not sure if this is a Bhagavatam verse, but I've seen this verse quoted in the 7th canto, talking about Prahlad Maharaj. I'll read the translation. When a person, so this is a verse his spiritual master asked him to learn. When a person is actually advanced and takes pleasure in chanting the holy name of the Lord, who is very dear to him, he is agitated and loudly chants the holy name. He also laughs, cries, becomes agitated, and chants just like a madman, not caring for outsiders. We know when Srila Prabhupada started the Harinam, he was just chanting in this, what's this called? Tompkins Square Park. And apparently there is still a tree which is named after Srila Prabhupada. So he was just chanting there. And he himself even said he wasn't really chanting to please the public or something. Why was he chanting? He was chanting for the pleasure of the Lord. And just by chanting in this way, slowly he started to get his followers. And we see now we have this wonderful facility where we can come and discuss all these wonderful pastimes. So it all happens by taking to the process. Why I'm sharing this is we can see by example of Lord Chaitanya, he himself is doing it as his spiritual master guided him to do it. He's not saying, "Oh, I have my own process." So he's setting this example for all of us to follow, and just by doing that, we can also get all the effects, all the benefits of rendering devotional service, and we can experience these ecstatic symptoms by receiving the mercy of the spiritual master. That's why Lord Chaitanya's spiritual master is congratulating him, and then further on he's giving him, okay, learn this shloka. So why? Because then you know, why are we chanting? Has your mind ever asked you, why are you chanting? I remember, like, first time I started chanting, this devotee I was with, like, I chanted a couple of rounds, and I clearly remember I asked him, hey, my mind is asking, what are you doing? Why are you chanting? I really had to ask him to clarify myself. But of course, gradually, as you hear, you learn the glories of the holy name, then you understand and you get experience. It's not just like imaginative concept, but you actually get personal experience. One of the meditations, a personal meditation I would share, and then maybe some of you can share your meditation. But one thing that one verse from Bhagavatam that I personally take a lot of inspiration from about chanting is where the cowherd boys, they are glorifying Krishna. And this is a very famous verse which even Sukadeva Goswami, he was super attracted to. So this is a top secret I'm revealing today. So take it with you. The verse is actually Barhapidam Natvarvapu Karnayo Karnikaram Bibhratvas Kanakapisham Vajantim Chamalam Randran Venur Shuddhaya Puryavan Gopa Vrinder Vrindaranyam Swapadramnam Pravisad Gita Kirti. So how one can enter these mysteries? You can study this verse. Because what's happening in this verse? Lord Krishna, he's decorated with this Vajanti garland, and he's entering this forest of Vrindavan. You can imagine the whole scenery. And who he is with? He's with all these cowherd boyfriends he has. And they are going to have a fun day. It's going to be a big fun day there. Because what do they do when they go to the forest? And the cowherd boys, they are actually, what are they doing? They are not just like walking casually with him. They are actually chanting his names. They are chanting his glories, and they are dancing and singing. That's how they are going with him. And what it does, it inspires Krishna to pick up his flute. Hey, these guys are having like a, making like a great ambience for me. I have to kind of encourage them. I have to participate with them. So Krishna picks up his flute and he starts playing his flute. So it's a very attractive scene. People go to concerts here, I see all the time. Why do they go there? Because they see it's a fun thing to do. So many people go there. I go to the Griffith Observatory, so I see the Greek theater. When I'm coming back, like the whole parking area is taken over by Greek theater. Why? Because some guy is gonna sing there. It's a big concert. So Krishna makes the biggest concerts. If you wanna experience, then you have to chant. You have to study Bhagavatam. You have to chant Krishna's names. You actually have to study Chaitanya Charitamrita if you really want to get like a deeper flavor of it. Because Lord Chaitanya, he's showing it by his own example, how one can chant in such a consciousness where you can experience the full effects of chanting Hare Krishna. In the 8 prayers he gave, there's a great prayer, another one. Nam Nam Akari Bahuda Nij Nam Nam Akari Bahuda Nij Sarva Shaktis tatrarpita niyamita smaranena kala. Etadrishitav kripa bhagwan mamapi durdevam idrisham nahi janu naraga. So Lord Chaitanya, he's chanting in such a state. What is he saying? I have no raga, no attachment for chanting the holy names. But what are these names? They are invested with all the potencies of Lord Krishna. So what can one experience? One can actually experience all these potencies of the Lord by chanting the holy name. But when can one experience that? One has to have attachment for chanting the holy names. Because if we are, what's that famous verse? If you are attracted to your family or friends or social activities, then don't go to Yamuna. And if you do happen to go there, don't look at Krishna. And if you do happen to look at him, don't listen to him playing his flute. Because what will happen? I'll break all your attachments. And I'll make you mad after Krishna. So this is another beautiful verse. So there are many amazing, beautiful verses in these books. Why I'm sharing this is that I'm inspiring myself to absorb more in studying them, reading them, and sharing them with others. But also, if you like any of these, then you can look into these books. I'll share one personal experience so that way you don't think it's just like speaking philosophy here. So one of the main service I do is distribute books. Now this is in Australia. I was outside like a shopping center. It's like a kind of tourist area there, but it's a Chinese supermarket. So many young people go shopping there, and there's lots of restaurants and stuff. It's actually called Chinatown. So it can be pretty difficult distributing books there, but every now and then, just to kind of skill up myself a little bit and brush my false ego a little bit, I would go there. So and it would be very difficult to distribute books there. But one day I saw, like, I don't know, I would be wrong to guess the age of this person, but the way he was standing, I could say he's definitely over 80, maybe in 90s. He's a Chinese man, and his back is bent, and he's handing out some kind of flyers. And I was like, man, I could learn so much from this guy. He's so old. What is he looking for? He's handing out these flyers, and I'm here trying to distribute these super powerful books. And I'm thinking, how can I do it? I mean, I looked at that guy, I was like, I have no reason to think I cannot do it. At least I can try, because he's also just trying. Not many people were taking his flyers even. Who would get attracted to a old bent man, and you don't know what he's handing out. He don't speak English. So I was like, I'm in a much better situation. I could definitely try it. And then what happened is, I see this strong man. He was wearing a high-vis vest people wear while doing all these kind of construction works. I could see he's a worker. But from distance, sometimes you can see this person is gonna you have eye contact, you have a feeling this person wants to talk to you. I could see him straight coming towards me. And I was like, wow, man, this is gonna be amazing. Let's see. So this person, he's actually from Lebanon, and he was just doing construction work just to get some extra money for his expenses and things he wants to do. But when I actually spoke to him, he surprised me. He was like, I've been reading the Upanishads. What do you have here? I was like, man, and just the same day in the morning going to the spot, I was hearing this one talk where the speaker was saying that, people these days they study these Upanishads and this and the Vedas, and they become impersonalists. And I was thinking about that. Oh man, you don't want to be studying the Upanishads. I asked him, what other books are you studying? So he told me, I've heard of Mahabharata. He actually told me that he's studying theology at the University of Sydney. And it kind of gave me some hope. Oh, he's like a ripe fruit. I should like work with him. So I showed him Bhagavatam 1.1. And at that time, I was like really doing good with the sets. I would meet people every now and then who would take a set. So I was like, hey, look at this. You're studying Upanishads. That's the next one. That's your next book. And he was like super attracted. So I gave him a bunch of books. But next day was Ekadashi. And so I told him that tomorrow is a very powerful spiritual day. And you know what? I'm going to show you the full set. I explained to him this is a full set. And then in the conversation, I mentioned to him that actually there is more, because he's studying theology. And he was like, I will even introduce you to my professor. He would be super interested in your books. And I was like, sure, let's do it. So this person, I thought, man, he's just like a construction worker. But straight away, I thought, like, you know, he was like, yeah, I'll make you a donation. I was like, he's not short of money. He can pay for the books. So we exchanged contacts. And actually, he was like, you know, can I meet you here same time tomorrow? Will I be able to get those books? He was like this. And I was like, I don't know if I will be coming here tomorrow. I kind of like just whetted his appetite a little bit more. But how about we arrange a time and I will bring you the books, I'll show you. So next morning, he sends me a text. Usually on Ekadasi day, I always meet someone who would get like a full set or like a whole lot of books and give a nice donation. So Ekadasi day, I put a little extra effort in saying my prayers and chanting a little bit more. I put a little more endeavor because I feel some reciprocation. So in the morning, as I was going to the Bhagavatam class, I happened to, usually I don't look at my phone in the morning program, but for some reason I turned it on and I see a text from this guy. Hey, what were those other sets you were talking about? I was like totally blown over. I was like, man, this guy is going mad. So I read the whole text and straight away I gave him a call. Hey, what's up, man? And we kind of had a little talk, but to make it short, we arranged a time to meet just that morning. And I loaded the van with all the sets, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, what's this? Brihad Bhagavatamrita and Prabhupada Lilamrita. So 4 sets, I loaded it up. He was like, don't worry, I have the money ready for you, let's meet. I made like a big plate of Mahaprasad from the morning offering. And I met him and he had like the cash. He was like, he had half of the amount in cash. He was, I'll pay you the rest. So I drove him to his home and we unloaded all the books, and his mother was like, hey, what are you getting? What is these books about? Like, don't worry, mother, this is for my course. So he loaded the whole stack, and that was my start of the day that day. I was like, man, that's great. Thank you, Krishna. I wish I could have more days like this. So it's possible. Just having this experience, I was like, man, how can you think of anything else? I mean, why wouldn't you want to have experience like this? So, of course, it doesn't mean like if whatever service you are doing, you will have amazing experiences. But like one of the Maharaj, actually I heard this from Bhakti Rasayan Sagar Swami. He says this, count your blessings. Every night before you go to bed, count your blessings. So, coming back to this verse, we are very fortunate to be in contact with Srila Prabhupada, to be in contact with his books. So what are we going to do with this fortune? That's a meditation you can take from today's discussion. So I'll stop here. Thank you very much. Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.